Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. The Brooklyn Nets locked in the 6th seed with a 45-37 record. Even after such a turmoil and turnover year, they found a way to win under Jock Vaughn, and they have themselves in the playoffs. In this video, we're going to dive into their first round matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers and talk about what they can do defensively to slow down Joel Embiid, James Harden, and the rest of this explosive offense. So in their last 15 games, the Nets defense had a 113.5 defensive rating, giving up 110 points per game, and just being very solid overall. Some statistical weaknesses come with a 30.9% offensive rebound percentage and a 35% shot frequency at the rim. So to flip it and talk more about the Sixers side of things, last time Joel Embiid saw the Brooklyn Nets, he scored 37 points, had 13 rebounds, shot 66.7% from the field, 50% from three, and over 90 from the foul line. He is an incredible offensive machine. The efficiency he plays with, the way he's able to score at all three levels is very hard for teams to match up with. As you look at his shot profile, he gets a lot of his shots in the mid-range and second level, but he's a physical beast that can dominate on the inside. So now let's dive into the film and see what the Brooklyn Nets can do to slow down Joel Embiid and this explosive Sixers offense. So let's go back to February 11th and talk about the last fully healthy matchup between the Nets and the Sixers. It started different. They trusted Claxton to guard his yard, be very solid individually, didn't really send bodies unless if he was in the scoring area. And you can see that they have faith in Claxton's ability to guard against Joel Embiid, but there is a just different level of physicality that Joel brings to the game, getting Claxton in foul trouble early. The quick adjustment was they were sending that blitz from the passer, the topside blitz automatically, and it put Brooklyn in rotation, having to wheel around and make plays happen that way in rotation from the jump. And then you can also see that regardless of who his matchup is, once he was in a scoring area, they were sending a second body. And you have to do it with Brooklyn's disadvantage size-wise, but it put Brooklyn in a non-advantageous position because they had to rotate very quick, cover a ton of space, just be able to make it hard for Joel. He just can't have that one-on-one matchup. He can't see one body, and if you send multiple, you have to be able to zone up and be highly connected behind it. Yes, in the middle third of the floor, they trusted Claxton to guard him in that mid-range area. They didn't trust Deron Sharp as much, but the only time they blitzed that middle third of the floor was when it was a mismatch like there against Cam Johnson. But post-ups, regardless of whoever that primary matchup guy was, it's an automatic blitz from the topside passer that they were showing and then wheeling up behind. You can see here that even Dinwiddie came down early. They wheeled around quick. And then on that second pass, Mikal comes down. They're just trying to show him as many bodies as humanly possible. This middle third clip, you can see how they trusted Claxton to guard on the outside, but then right when he gets deep in the paint, they send Cam Johnson for the help, and it just gets a little scrambled up and getting PJ Tucker that bucket. The middle third was Claxton's area to really work, try to guard his yard, but the physicality that Joel Embiid presented all night long, especially in the second half, where he was trying to physically dominate and impose his will on the game, getting in the paint, getting wherever he wanted to go against Claxton, was definitely something that you can tell was a point of emphasis at halftime. Attack the paint, be physical, let's beat them down on the interior. We have the biggest, most dominant big man in the NBA, so let's show them what he can do. He went down there, attacked time and time again, was able to get Philly back in the game. You can see that he just has more purpose to him, the automatic pass outs on the blitz, taking it to the rim more and more. It's just a sense of purpose he had in that second half that made it hard for Brooklyn to really find ways to slow down this Philadelphia offense. Beyond how Jock Vaughn had his guys playing against Joel Embiid and the Sixers in this matchup, you also have to take into account that this was one of their first games together as a team. The trade deadline just passed. They had a ton of new people in the building, and I think that that'll help them in the playoffs now that these guys are connected. They've played together. They've been playing well together. I think that the times that they got caught in rotation in February, I think will be diminished a little bit, where they are there for each other and understand the assignment. So now when it comes to slowing down Joel Embiid and the Sixers attack, I think it starts offensively for Brooklyn. They need to get out and run. They need to play in the break. They need to play fast. be aggressive as possible early in offense. Those first 6-7 seconds, you need to get down the floor, make Joel Embiid have to run back and forth, tire him as much as humanly possible offensively. Yes, you can throw him in action, you can do things like that, but the Sixers do a great job at roving him off, making him a low man, allowing him to truly anchor that defense. So trying to get him in action might not be as easy as running the floor. The Nets by far have one of the more versatile teams in the NBA. The way that they always have some spacing on the floor. They'll have 3 to 4 guys that can really just push the ball themselves and make plays downhill. And they always have a big man that can run rim to rim, catch it, and finish in the paint. I think that running is a simple answer to slowing down Philly's attack. But at the end of the day, I think if they don't do this, it'll turn into a very grinded out game, grinded out matchup where Philly can excel and win with physical dominance and poise at both ends. So now let's go to the defensive end and see what other teams in the association have done to slow down Joel Embiid and just do a solid job against him. I think that the Miami Heat did pretty good against him in their last matchup. They were physical with him early in possessions. They did a good job of loading the box immediately. You can see in this clip that the box is loaded right when Joel touches the ball. In this clip here, Joel touches it. 4 guys are on the box. Regardless of who they're guarding or whatever the matchup situation is, they are zoning up and making it as tough as possible for him to get deep in the paint and get in that scoring area. They automatically blitzed on mismatches, but they preferred having blitzes once he put the ball on the ground. When he dribbled, it was automatic regardless of the direction. It was kind of random for him because of the directional differences. I think Miami was favoring a blindside blitz, which was big for them. Blitzing him when he can't see definitely forced some turnovers, made some plays happen that way. But the physicality that Miami had from the jump in every time down the floor. Bam was up into him. Jimmy was up into him. They did a really good job at loading up and making it hard for him to get an angle on the bounce. And then if he did dribble, he was getting swarmed right away. No advantages were really created. And Miami was just very solid as a team effort at slowing down Joel Embiid. And it was a huge part why Miami was able to win this game by well over double digits. To me, the things that made Miami successful were first the physicality, secondly the team connectivity, and lastly the randomness of their blitzes. Still, regardless of all this, he scored 21 points on high-efficient shooting, showing how unstoppable and dominant he is. Now to go to another matchup that I think was pretty successful was the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks did a really good job at keeping it one-on-one, being very solid. They only helped on drives, and they preferred size to help. So it was usually the off-ball 3 or 4 man, so Giannis, Bobby Portis. Drew Holiday got in there at times just because he is a very strong guard, and he's able to take those bumps and stuff. But at the end of the day, they really did do it 1v1. You can see that Brook Lopez, though, was guarding him in a different manner. He was backing off a little bit, sagging, was active cat and mousing him with his hands and feet activity, but they were trying to force him into jump shots, and he did settle for a lot of jump shots this game. The way that on-ball activity prevented him from getting to the paint and doing those things, and then when he did get paint, they did a good job at loading up, being there, helping, walling up, and not fouling. I think that that's what made them successful, making it hard for him to get the paint, and when he did get the paint, it was already protected with size, length, athleticism to disrupt him. And the last matchup I want to dive into is against the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks had a rough defensive season, but against Philadelphia, they found ways to be pretty successful at slowing down Joel Embiid. They aren't the biggest team on the floor, but they did a good job at being solid 1v1. Everyone, regardless of switches, was sitting down in a stance, making it hard for him to get paint. They were sagging off of him like the Bucks were doing, and they were loading the box. Them and the Heat did a fantastic job at sitting in the box, making it hard for him, loading all 4 corners regardless of the spacing, just making it hard for him to get an angle to get downhill, force him into mid-range jumpers. Dallas did a good job at the end of the day at forcing these jumpers and making it very difficult for him to get good looks in the paint. The Brooklyn Nets have their hands full with Joel Embiid and the Sixers offense going into the first round. I think that the things that they can take away from other teams are, first, the early physicality, secondly, on the catch sagging off and being cat and mouse with them to force jumpers, and lastly, the loading of the box and the connectivity as a team. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Philadelphia 76ers. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.